The first big holiday of 2023 is fast approaching with Easter. Well, unless, of course, you're one of those weirdos that take St. Patrick's Day real seriously. But Easter's coming up very, very shortly. Good Friday, well, I think it's kind of implied with the name. And then Easter Sunday is, I'll just stop while I'm not even close to being ahead. But a lot of people, good people that are out there, will be going to church in order to acknowledge the day. Of course, it's a very holy day after all. And a lot of comparisons. I've seen Robert Barnes, the great Robert Barnes out there, make a funny side joke, and then all of the joyless tradcons that were out there, how dare you do such a thing, saying that Trump being arrested the week of Easter is not the first time we've seen a high-profile individual get arrested on said week. And yeah, I posted a funny John Zandig meme, and if you know, you know, and if you don't worry about it. But I've been mentioning this from a time or two, and far more recently, that Christianity is just really not respected at all in the mainstream for very obvious reasons, given that it's bended the knee and capitulated on just about every core tenet of the faith. Now, there's some orthodox variations of this that's very, very solid and adheres to their principles, but en masse and in mass in some places, see what I did there? You are more likely to see a pride flag than a manger inside of most modern day houses of worship. And this is about the strangest take that I've seen. Like, every once in a while you'll see one of those, trans pastors or, gay appropriating pastors that are out there, especially the one with the, I'm going to butcher, I don't know specifically what the name of the official scarf is or not, but he's got that rainbow scarf and he's talking all of that haram nonsense. But while they're mostly just, it's like, okay, that's the current state of the church, there's a good reason why I'm not going. This one right here is exceptionally in poor taste because, check this out. Wild moment, transgender, North Dakota. It's even in North Dakota. See, you're not safe anywhere. If you don't stand on your principles, you will end up compromised, like this situation. North Dakota pastor claims Nashville school shooter has been treated like Jesus being crucified. Audrey Hale, who killed 6 people, 3 9-year-old kids, and a black person. Killed more black people than Kyle Rittenhouse, but nobody wants to talk about that at all. But because you think you can start to push your agenda on people that are just trying to, get on with their life, worship the Lord on a consistent basis, yeah. See how far this goes after this, because I can't believe anybody would unironically do this. Like, if it's a joke, I've known people that, one of my, a good friend of mine when growing up, back when if you had friends and you guys had a sleepover, nobody was trying to say that you guys are in a relationship or something like that. But no, he was living with his grandparents at the time. Very interesting scenario. Long story short, without naming any names or anything like that, wow, a messed up familial situation, and he ends up going to jail. Who could have possibly seen that one coming? Even though, as a condition of going to a sleepover, whether it be at his place or his grandparents' place or at my place, because we were in that would have been, 7th grade, probably 7th or 8th grade. We'd have to go to church on Sunday because his grandparents were very involved with the local church, or at least that church that was right there. Many a funny breakfast conversation after we'd come back from mass, and then there'd be a bunch of people that'd be sitting around the table and they would be talking about how great Jesus is. Out of context for somebody who is never really into the book like that, it was like, oh yeah, great. Yeah, who should we be thanking? Jesus. Oh, wonderful, fantastic. But just goes to show you can go to church and learn absolutely nothing, or you can be from the outside looking in and understand the values and principles that are out there and apply them appropriately to your life. Anyways, a transgender pastor from North Dakota had compared the treatment of Nashville shooter. You should have just been riding a scooter. At worst, she would have ended up, scraping up her knees. Audrey Hale, to the crucifixion of Jesus less than a week after the twisted trans killer, let's get it straight, murdered 6 people, including 3 9-year-old children. Yeah, I want to see how you get to this point in time, because this just kind of sounds like a Mad Lib problem. All right, compare Audrey Hale to, our Lord and Savior. Go. That's a tough square to circle. Micah Louwagie, all right, who goes by they, them pronouns, I don't care, was recently installed as the pastor of St. Mark Lutheran Church in Fargo. Oh yeah, we can take care of this right here in Brainerd. Probably what they're talking about how to deal with Micah. Delivered their first Easter-themed sermon to a small congregation, very small and probably getting smaller by the day, on April 2nd. All right, so last Sunday. Officials are yet to release the motive of the slaying. Yo, we haven't even got to the I want to go back. How do you make this one work? Okay, but yes, everybody who is tragically mowed down by this mentally unstable individual. Oh, I'm sorry, religious allegory. Haley Scruggs, William Kinney, Evelyn Deekhouse, all 9 years old. Headmistress, Dr. Catherine Kuntz, 60, substitute teacher. Cynthia Peak, 61, Yoel, substitution placement on that day. And chef Mike Hale. Oh, it was initially reported that he was a custodian. Oh, but he was the cook? Shit. When Hale opened fire last week at the Covenant School. Footage of the sermon. Man, now I'm just naming things that could have avoided this situation. If it would have had a scooter, that would have been fine. If somebody would have rolled up in a Sherman tank, would have definitely gotten rid of that Prius driving fuck. Reading the biblical account of the crucifixion, followed immediately by the massacre of the Covenant School in Nashville. Again, okay, if you were going to have a sermon or something like that and you wanted to address the situation because, yes, it happened at a religious institution and the importance of prayer and the importance of forgiveness, if you want to try to work that in there somehow, but that would be appropriate. But basing everything on it and being this tasteless with the address, I don't know, man, but that looks exactly like the person that you would expect to be delivering that. Just some androgynous Kirby-shaped individual. Kind of doesn't look all that different, really. Take a look at it, just the color palette's a bit off. Instead of focusing on the ways this could have been prevented, such as gun control. In North Dakota, you're talking this shit in North Dakota, huh? You're talking about gun control there? A significant number of people have turned their attention to the shooter's identity. Yeah, the motive, the mental headspace, how far somebody can go from being held up as a sterling example of an art school only to be turned into a child murderer. I think that one's fair to bring up, but no, don't worry about it. And CBS doesn't want you to talk about the fact that it was a trans person. Instead of focusing on the number one cause of child death. Oh, this fucking idiot, bro. It's for kids. For kids. Kids ages 15 to 18? Yeah, those kids. It's gun violence. But then you also take a look at where it's happening in inner cities and how it's also happening in gang-related violence. But when it comes to actual children, like 9-year-olds, it's accidents. Motor vehicle, at home, different types of accidents is the number one killer. But not guns, bro, when you extrapolate out for everybody underage. But if you were going to be fair about that, you would say the number one killer of underage or below legal age children. That's the way that you would characterize it. But no. The number one killer of kids. Again, the left is very good when it comes to marketing their ideas. Some folks have tried to focus on eradicating trans people as a solution. Well, it's not the first solution that I pick. It might be the final. Because they have been just waiting for an opportunity such as this. No, nobody's waiting for a school shooting to happen in order to raise the issue that maybe this whole trans experiment isn't working out that well. But then again, if you think that it's society at large trying to eradicate trans people are actually the most effective killers of trans people. 42%, in fact. They've been waiting for any reason to stoke their hatred. Remember, this is supposed to be going on at a pulpit inside of a church on a Sunday, but all right. The pastor goes on to slam allies who abandoned or betray transgender people, likened them to Jesus' disciples who fled when he was arrested. I would kind of like to see the tone and tenor of the room whenever this unhinged diatribe was going on. They're like, I didn't sign up for this. What are we doing? Marginalized folks. Ugh, those of us at the least amount of privilege and power. We got a white woman up there? Just saying, I'm going off biology. Interesting. You got no privilege at all. Privilege to pivot away from an entire situation only to say, hey, look, a president's being indicted, there, as they continue to speak to a small congregation. Oh no, sorry, I missed the rest of this. They need those who have more privilege and more power than they do to physically place their bodies between them and the people, powers and institutions that are literally killing them. What are you talking about, you lunatic? Hopefully this was the last sermon this nothing would deliver. As she continues to speak. Just stop it. To speak to the small congregation, the pastor went on to compare the Pharisees' treatment of Jesus to politicians who make laws against drag shows and transgender players in sports, which has become a hot-button issue across America. This is why people don't want to go to church in general. Those leaders were looking for any excuse, valid or not. I only see valid issues that are down there. For as much as I like to joke about women just getting the shit kicked out of them by dudes in athletics, it's like, you know the science. You're actively lying if you're trying to say, no, there's absolutely no biological advantage that a man has, and especially if they're on hormone treatment. It's like, come on, just fucking stop it. You can see the podium, okay? You can take a look at third place, second place, and then note the beard on the gold medal winner. Like, come on, bro. Every goddamn time. Oh, is this where we get... Oh my god, I can't believe this is real, huh? Those leaders were looking for any excuse, valid or not, to crucify Jesus, and they found that reason. It's baffling to me that someone's existence can be so threatening, that people decide they need to be controlled, and that they need laws made against them, or even worse, that the people that they find so threatening should die. Yeah, however should have that trans shooter been killed by police officers? How dare them for enforcing the laws and trying to keep more people safe. Or heaven forbid that they also defend themselves when they were returning fire from that mental case. All right then, it's part of the controversial sermon. Oh, that's what you'd characterize it. Controversial. Louwagie appeared to also draw a comparison between, oh my god, these people are just so cut and dry. Like, this is literally the NBC update. Okay, treatment of trans people in the United States to the Holocaust and Japanese internment camps. Of course, man, let's just go ahead. It's baffling to me that someone's existence can be so threatening that people decide they need to be controlled and how laws made against them, or even worse, that people they can find should be threatening, could die. You just repeated that, okay? Oh, but take a look at the rest of the pastors. It all makes sense. It all makes sense, right? We just want female, female ladies of the cloth that are over there. Oh, sure, we have the nunnery and all that stuff, and that can stay exclusively female, right? But then we just need a pastor. We just need the rest of the congregation to be all female. I would also imagine, given the fact that this person wasn't chased out of the church with a torch and pitchforks, it was probably a bunch of cat piss stinking box wine enthusiasts that were in the crowd as well. Okay, all of this is starting to make a little bit more sense. It still doesn't, but it does. There are significant numbers of people who deemed that the fact that the Nashville shooter happened to be trans just happened, didn't play into it at all whatsoever. One of the lines of the yet to be released, at least at time of recording, manifesto that says, "You're killing our kids, so now we'll kill yours." Yeah, has just simple accident that it was a trans person. So it's been reported is just the excuse they need to call for the eradication of trans folks, rather than focusing on the fact that there's a serious gun violence problem that continues to go unaddressed. Well, it is. You take a look at the places that have some of the strictest gun control laws, and what continues to happen there? Oh darn, criminals continue to shoot people. Imagine that. Rather than focusing on the fact that six more people are dead, rather than focusing on the fact that those staff and children should have been safe in the school. Yeah, with armed guards there. But you don't want to talk about that as well, because how eventually was this school shooter stopped? A good guy with a gun. Several good guys with a gun. Stop the bad woman with a gun. Oh well. Or focusing on the fact that the children do not feel safe in their own school. If only there was more trans representation in this school, they would feel safe in their own schools. Rather than focusing on any of this, they have decided they need to cause more harm. This isn't a new phenomenon. It's been happening in this country for many, many years. The Holocaust, known for having taken place in Wyoming, Dachau, Wyoming. That's where that happened. The Japanese internment camps of the 40s. Yeah, in California, right? Oh, okay, cool. Segregation forcibly changing indigenous people to residential schools. Now you're just drawing from... Now it's just a big old grab bag that's down there. But again, what about all of those mass graves? How many bodies did you uncover? Oh, right, 0. None whatsoever. Migrants being held in cages. Who built the cages? This is the dumbest that I've ever seen in my life. Trying to say that Audrey Hale, Audrey Aiden, who gives a fuck, Hale, murderer, trans terrorist, is analogous to Jesus Christ? Yeah, you're crazy, but we could already tell. Okay, you made it pretty obvious because you got the Hitler hair. Maybe that's why the Holocaust analogy popped out. And the bull ring. It's never fails. You see a BMI north of 50 and you can smell the woke through the computer screen. Unbelievable. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.